Hello, everyone. Hello, Allie. Hello, Kayleen. Hello, Angela. Hello, Cheryl. Just getting into my zone. Hello, Tracy, my bro. Angela says Cajun Mama is ready. So is Cajun Daddy. Yanavad has begun. Hello, Anna. Just plugging in. Inviting spirit into my experience, into my consciousness, into my body, in my mouth, on my tongue, as I speak. I invite you to do the same. Just mere intention is all it takes. And you feel yourself connect just like that. Hello, Maya. Give it a couple more, maybe 2 more minutes for people to collect. Hope you guys and gals are well today. Today my presentation is going to be titled The Power of Life Force. The power of life force. I guess we can get started. Why not? How is the music volume compared to my presentation? The balance between the music and my speaking okay at this moment? Ooh, I've been sneezing all day, excuse me. Hello, Garrick. Hello, Dana. Robert, what's up, my bro? Angela says fine. All right, let's get started. Got a nice shirt on. I got my bling bling. And I got my sleep pants. How good is that? All right, y'all. As I said, tonight's presentation is the power of life force. What is life force? Well, it's pretty commonsensical. We know what life force is, right? Hello, Ronnie. Bro, good to see you. What is life force? Call it God. Call it energy. Call it love. Got all these different names for it, but it's all the same thing. Dana, thank you very much for sharing the video. I appreciate it greatly. So we have many names that we call this life force. George Lucas, creator of Star Wars, is pretty smart. In the movies, they often say, use the force. It's all around you. George Lucas. I think George Lucas had some background in researching the Hindi scripture, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Upanishads, and all those scriptural texts. But also biblically, talks about God being omnipresent, literally. So I'm starting to plug in now. I can feel it. I felt my connection just now. This presentation is going to be all about life force and omnipresence. And omnipresence. Hey, Kenneth. Hey, Chloe. Omnipresence. George Lucas said, use the force, Luke. It's all around you. Omnipresence. The dictionary is our resource for language. We cannot argue with the dictionary. It is our collective agreement that it's the basis for our language. Definition of omnipresence. Present in all places at all times. When you were in school as a kid and the teacher would give roll call and they would say, John Doe, you would either say here or present. I'm present. Hopefully present in the moment and presently aware. Use the force, Luke. It's all around you. God is omnipresent. It is everything. Hello, Neil. It is everything. Life force. God's omnipresence. Star Wars. Use the force, Luke. It's everywhere. Hello, Greg. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. It's everything. There's nothing it is not. Some people I've heard in the past say, well, omnipresence means that God or Spirit's influence is just everywhere. Oh, its influence is everywhere, all right. You pull God out of the equation or separate God from its creation. You cannot separate creator from creation. It's the generator that sustains all things. The life force, the lights in your house, they all connect to wiring that plug into a generator. Something that generates current. We're all plugged into God. God is omnipresent. We're all plugged into the current, the life stream, the cosmic life stream current. And it's all about asking yourself a very honest question. How is the current of my life going? And you get the answer immediately. It's about being in the current consciously. We're always in the current. But are we resisting it or are we freely moving with it? Well, rocks are in a stream and in the current. But they're not flowing with the current. They're trying to buck the current and it creates rapids. Likewise, in our lives, when we buck the current, even though we are already in it, it's like we're trying to move upstream like a salmon, only to be eaten by a bear. Not a good situation, right? So we're always in the current. It's a matter of whether we are conscious that we're in the current and letting go with our lives, letting go, taking our hands off of everything, how it should be, what it should look like, puts us in the current consciously. And we're riding the stream. We're not even paddling. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. So since I love the idea of definitions, thank you, Cheryl, for sharing. I love the idea of definitions. It really brings home not only the lessons that I bring forth in these Center of Light Burst presentations, but it solidifies in such a way that there's no room for debate. It's not about me being arrogant. I'm very, very thorough with my work. And every time I do these Burst of Light live presentations, I'll always pray to Spirit, use my words, use my mouth, help me to be articulate as you would have me to be. These kinds of things. So let's read some definitions which are very, very powerful. This broadcast again is titled The Power of Life Force. Not that we don't already know But let's look up the definition of life. Let's get a clear understanding, a clear picture of what life is by its very definition. The quality that distinguishes a vital and functional being from a dead body. A principle or force that is considered to underlie the distinctive quality of animate beings. An organic state characterized by capacity for metabolism, growth, reaction to stimuli, and reproduction. The sequence of physical and mental experiences that make up the existence of an individual. This is not only about individuals, because we are a collective. We're an individual collective. On another planet, there's another individual collective. And you can take this to the level of the universe, the universal level, the cosmic level. And even though you have all these different myriads of these life forces playing themselves out, when you step back to the level that is spirit, God, there's only one life force. It's just a myriad of the same facets and faces of its one divine universal self. Continuing with the definition of life: spiritual existence, transcending physical death. It's the definition of life. We just had Easter. Listen to them, read it again. Spiritual existence, transcending physical death. The period from birth to death, the alpha and the omega of your life. We came from God. We'd all agree with that. When we leave, we go back. So what does that make our life from beginning to the end? It's life force. A specific phase of earthly existence. The period from an event until death. A way or manner of living. Wow, there are 20 definitions under life. Living beings as of a particular kind or environment. So we get the idea of life. Now I want to read you the definition of force. Definition of force: strength or energy exerted or brought to bear. Cause of motion or change. The forces of nature. The motivating force in her life. Moral or mental strength. Capacity to persuade or convince. An individual or group having the power of effective action. Ooh, dear Lord, I like that one. I'm going to read that one again for me. An individual or group having the power of effective action. An agency or influence that, if applied to a free body, results chiefly in an acceleration of the body and sometimes in elastic deformation and other effects. Any of the natural influences, such as electromagnetism, very, very important. Everything is energy. Everything has a bioenergetic field, an auric field around it. All living beings have an aura. Any of the natural influences, such as electromagnetism, gravity, the strong force, and the weak force that exists especially between particles and determine the structure of the universe. Woo! The quality of conveying impressions intensely in writing or speech. Stated the objectives with force. In great numbers. Let me go back to that again. omnipresence. Use the force, Luke. Hello, Mick. Use the force, Luke. God's omnipresence, life force, energy, love, life. The reason we possibly have not found alien life yet in the mainstream way on other planets is because they're looking for life to somewhat be humanoid without even recognizing that it's life that spins all of those planets in the first place. From that spiritual perspective, if scientists, many other people who do research and do exploration in the field of science, if they look for other life throughout the universe from this heart set with the intention of recognizing life just as it is and not how we think it should show up, they would see that the celestial bodies, all the planets in our solar system, are teeming with life because life itself is what spins the planets. They would see these celestial bodies as celestial beings who are alive and conscious and are in the conscious life stream and not bucking the life stream current because they're spinning. If a planet starts to buck the life stream current, the planet would become wobbly and kicked out of its orbit and possibly crash into other planets. There is a divine order in everything. Even when your life is going wrong, there is a divine order. And you are in the order, you're not conscious of the order. In the order, you are being ordered. Life is being ordered and administered to you instead of life happening and moving through you. Use the force, Luke. So what I would like you to consider is to not just entertain the idea that, okay, God's omnipresent, I get it. That's conceptual. I want you to experience it. So what I would like you to do for at least now, if you're alone, or if you're not and people are watching this with you, or you really don't care, turn off the lights in your house. Get up from the computer or phone right now. Turn off the lights in your house. Maybe create some soft lighting like I have here. A candle. An intention to feel exactly what I'm bringing through this live feed tonight. And not just listening to this presentation as a class or a lesson. I'm patient. Maybe put on some loose clothing. Whatever makes you comfortable and relaxed. Turn off some of the lights so they're not so glaring and distracting you from the experience that you're having here with me and I with you. So life force, use the force, Luke, is not just this energy that's floating around. Oh, cool, I get it. That's cool, and I'm glad you get it. But I want you to get it. I want you to have it. I want you to feel it. It's not far away from you. In fact, it is you. And without it, you don't exist. And without you, it doesn't exist. You cannot separate life as we know it to be from life force. Life as we know it is merely and simply the manifestation of the life force. Liken life force to God, synonymous. You cannot separate creator from its creations. That would be arrogant to think that we could survive on our own and not have to humble ourselves to allow our divine parent in our space not only for us to live, but to be happy human creatures. Life force. That breath that you just took, and that one you just took, and that one you just took. That's life force. Hi, Deborah. Spirit is what is breathing your body. You're not doing it. You can do it when you choose to do it consciously, and doing breath consciously, is what connects you to life force, who does it for you unconsciously. Life force, omnipresence. It is you. Ask yourself, in this phase of my life, am I flowing in the stream? Am I in the cosmic life force stream? Am I flowing with it, or am I bucking the current? No judgment of the matter. It's just a fact. Hello, Robert Garrett, my songwriting friend. Life force. From my bestseller, The Divine Principle, Anchoring Heaven on Earth. I'm going to do a little bit of reading here shortly. Take a look at this picture. Get a good look at it. Hello, Rhonda. Hello, Melissa. Take a good look at this picture. This is a divine man from India by the name of Swamiji Viswayogi Maharaj. He was the first God-fire energy to ever step on planet Earth long, long ago. This is his 9th avatar incarnation. His slogan for this tour is "Unity is our strength, humanity is our life." This is what life force looks like in the form of a human being. That's what life force looks like. It's in the eyes. It's always in the eyes. The eyes are a tell. They tell everything about the being. It's the windows to the soul, we've heard. And you can determine, not out of judgment, but you can determine the spiritual evolution, measurement stick, by what is contained inside of people's eyes. Because the light either shines through, and we've all seen many people in our lives, sadly, who have no light shining in their eyes whatsoever. It's the light. So I'm going to do some reading from my bestseller, The Divine Principle, about life force. In fact, this is one of the first transmissions I received from God when this all started to happen for me. And also, something told me tonight to offer up calling in, as if this is a radio show, right? After I do the reading segment, if anyone wants to call in, say in the comment box now, "Yes, Keith, I would like to call in and ask a question." And then I'll give you my phone number and you can call in. From the Divine Principle, one of the first transmissions I received in meditation from Spirit. Scripture speaks of God as the living Word, the essence of life itself. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. John 1:1. How hard can it be to see how people create grief, fear, and division within themselves by denying this most profound truth? Spirit continues. I come to you now to teach you how to accept me in order that you may replace your sorrow with joy, your trepidation with love, to help you supplant separation with unity. You see, when you live in the love state, not only are you in my presence, it is there that you consciously merge with me. But we have to get you there first, dear ones. It may be difficult for you to understand that I am here communicating with you telepathically, Keith. But at the very least, you cannot deny that we are having this talk, can you? And I reply, you're right about that. Spirit continues, but you are not the only one I am with. I talk and walk with everyone on every continent every day. It is just that many do not know how to recognize me because they believe I am in heaven and not on earth. Then there are those who are completely satisfied with knowing that I exist, but care nothing whatsoever about doing the work required to see me. And I say to Spirit, sometimes I can't even see you myself. I mean, I sometimes still buy into the belief that I'm having a relationship with others, not with you. Spirit, yes, you still have a tendency to separate others from God, but not letting yourself see me in others only brings about grief and fear into play for you. The fact is, I am with everyone personally and directly all the time. God is omnipresent, lives in everyone. I ask, so no matter what the scenario, even in an argument with someone else, I'm fighting you? Spirit replies, yes, it is true you are resisting me, but you are really just fighting yourself. This is why an argument can never be won, because the fight is yours and yours alone. Has going against the grain ever worked for you? Bucking the current. It sure hasn't. That's why I'm concentrating on learning how to stay in the present moment. So now that you're living this way, do you find that things are changing for you? And I say, yes, they are, and it's about time. God says, no, Keith, it's not about time. It's beyond time, I say. Again, that you are eternal, sustained by the word that I mentioned when I first started this dialogue with you. My great joy will be when you see just how beautiful you are, how vibrant and how precious your life is to me. When that day comes, you will discover within you the world, the cosmos, God, the one life force that permeates everything. Quite fascinating, is it not? And I say, I want that so badly, and yes, I am very intrigued. Well, here's your chance, Keith, because you are being blessed with the opportunity to achieve your potential by getting to know me through you as you. I want you to know that I find it a great privilege to know you through me as me. I need some water. Continue reading from the Divine Principle. Hello, Kathy. I basically asked God in this aspect of the book, so what are you really? Who are you, right? Spirit continues, it would be more correct to ask, what am I not? For there is no form that is not me, and there is no name that I do not bear. God is not my name, though the word does invoke an image of the highest authority. What I am is the ultimate awareness. What I am is perpetual, infinite potential. Surely you can understand that everything born of infinite potential has within it its own spark of infinite potential. Everything has infinite potential to become capital infinite potential. But to become invincible like me, Spirit, you must go deep within and reach for that infinite potential yourself. And I say, I think I might actually understand this. Spirit says, so you are not perplexed at all. And I say, no, I guess I'm not. You see, by your intent to go within and seek, you have pierced your confusion at last. Simply, it's just to turn inward and just want it. And you connected. You see, by your intent to go within and seek, you have pierced your confusion at last. You have just become introduced to your own infinite potential. Now let us see what you do next. As clear as there are rewards for going within yourself for sustenance, there are definite consequences for going outside. When you reach out to grab the world, you are vulnerable to its influences and the rules that apply on the physical plane. It is there that you encounter the many distractions and temptations that result in your conscious disconnection. Looking to the temporal world for what you think you need implies a belief that you are lacking something. Jesus said, look at the birds. Are they not clothed and fed? And are you not greater than they? Looking to the temporal world for what you think you need implies a belief that you're lacking something. I ask you, why must you reach outward for fulfillment? You can never reach your infinite potential and power that way. And I go, Spirit says, do you understand that God is life itself and is not separated from creation? I said, yes, because if that were a possibility, all would cease to exist. The reason you and many sometimes find life so challenging is because you give credence to the idea that the world outside is something other than you. Take a breath. Connect. The reason you and many sometimes find life so challenging is because you give credence to the idea that the world outside is something other than you. It is that which has caused so many of you to feel so alone. It is that which has caused so many of you to feel so alone. When we are not consciously connected, we can be in a room with 1,000 people and feel terribly alone. When you're consciously connected, you can live in a Himalayan cave by yourself and never want for anything because you're connected. But here is the kicker. All of you have the potential to tap into the self that connects you to me. Are you telling me that I am just like you in every way? Spirit says, let us say that you are already embodying many of my principles. Like what? Your innate ability to create a life of quality instead of one of mediocrity. As Scripture says, you are created in the image and likeness of God, Genesis 5:1. I used to think that that meant, this is funny, I have to read it again. This is my Catholic upbringing, at least the dogmatic part of it. I used to think that that meant you thought me into being and made me to kind of look like you. Spirit says, if you only knew how many people actually think that. And I say, that's pretty darn funny. Spirit says, but there is more truth inherent in this than first meets the eye. You yourself, Keith, put it nicely just a moment ago. It means that you cannot separate yourself from the things that you have brought forth in your life, lest they cease to be. To further my point, let us continue with a question or two. What happens if you remove your life force, yourself, from your checking account? What happens if you remove your life force, yourself, from your checking account? And I say, it's no longer my checking account. It closes. Spirit, what happens to a relationship when you break it off? It's no longer a relationship. What happens if you separate yourself from anything? I guess it would no longer be a part of my reality. Do you find that your life has peace, joy, trust, love, compassion, acceptance, understanding, patience, and sharing? In many aspects of my life, I am very happy. In others, there's definitely room for improvement. Are you moving intentfully in that direction? I do my best to follow through, but I still procrastinate doing some things. Why do you think you procrastinate? I say, you're trying to tell me something here, aren't you? And Spirit says, yes. I'm waiting to see if you dare do something about that habit of yours. Procrastinate. Hi, Sue. Hi, Sherry. One more segment of reading. Now back to the basics of self-love. It begins with finding the part of you that is original, your innermost being, and consciously reuniting with it. Discovering such a sense of self will introduce into your own life the same power to manifest that Jesus and other ascended masters throughout time have demonstrated in theirs. And it will bring you into a state of balance so that the same divine energies with which they created miracles will be available for your use. Once you cross your spiritual threshold, you will be able to further honor the contract that you made with Spirit before you were born, because you will then know through experience that the life force within you is God. Boy, that hit me. Hello, Jaden. I want to read that again for me. That's for me. As I say often, when I read this work from the Divine Principle, I don't read it from a showboat, show-off point of view as the author. I don't. I'm blessed and grateful and honored to have been a part of that message. This message. But when I read this work, I'm just an avid reader like anyone else. And I still get affected by any dialogue, be it this work or any scriptural dialogue, any of my friends who've written books, or any serious authors out and about. When I read something and it hits me, I own it. Good or bad, especially the good stuff. When it hits me and I own it, I want to milk it. So for me, I want to read this again for me. Once you go inward, once we cross the spiritual threshold, you will be able to further... Let me start again. Once you cross your spiritual threshold, you will be able to further honor the contract that you made with Spirit before you were born, because you will then know through experience that the life force within you is God. You will have no choice but to live your life as a love offering. After all, this is your purpose, dear ones, to anchor the Divine Principle in your day-to-day reality. And I say to Spirit, I'd love to be able to do that. And Spirit says, what on earth do you think you have been doing all this time? And I say, what do you mean? He says, Keith, are you not the one writing a book called The Divine Principle Anchoring on Earth, Anchoring Heaven on Earth? And have you not been working on this daily? How did I not connect the two? Because you had not fully realized that you were having a talk with God. Now that you have chosen to open up to truth of who you are, you can become my channel. I could not have entered your consciousness any other way. But why wasn't I taught all this stuff when I was younger? And I asked this question crossly. Spirit continues. Well, did it ever occur to you that I might have been saving you? Saving you, double entendre. Believe me when I tell you that your timing is perfect. Yes, beloved, your Christ self orchestrated in everyone's life a preordained path so that you would one day finally be ready. Besides, you have all had some growing up to do. You've had to work through karma to learn, update, and expand. And to add to your credits, you have taken these opportunities. And to add to your credit, you have taken these opportunities to begin to fall into alignment. All you have learned has not been in vain, my friends. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. But what about others? Why is alignment so difficult for them? This is very, very powerful. Hello, Debbie. Hello, Dorothy. Hello, Mary Jane. If you find this next segment I'm going to read applies to you, don't just hear the words. Choose not to just hear the words. Take this in and apply this to your life and watch what happens. I say to Spirit, but what about others? Why is alignment so difficult for them? Spirit continues, because most are still waging an ongoing war in their minds. The noisy battle between right and wrong, which has kept them rigidly locked into their victim position. Though you're now able to tune out much of your own mental static, know that most people have much more twisting of the dial to do before I can come in loud and clear for them as well. Spirit continues. If one lives his or her whole life from a right or wrong point of view and uses past memories to handle present circumstances, the stillness and clarity necessary to make sound choices will never be available. I am not saying that that position is either right or wrong. I am saying it can only result in one of those two possible outcomes. Ego keeps people strapped into the front car of their own emotional roller coaster on a ride that never ends, because just over every incline is another right or wrong scenario that launches them through those disorienting swoops and loops yet again. As long as people refuse to get off their judgment ride, right and wrong, they can never hope to plant their feet on the solid ground of peace. That was dialogue from my bestseller, The Divine Principle, Anchoring Heaven on Earth. If you're interested in purchasing this blood, sweat, and tears of my life for 8 years, you go to KeithAnthonyBlanchard.com or centeroflightradio.com and look under the Creations tab, and it will take you to Amazon, trustworthy link, and I think it's like $16. My life's work. Part of my life's work. The beginning of my life's work. So in this segment, y'all, it's y'all. The Southern came out, y'all. In this segment, I did mention earlier that for this presentation, the power of life force. The title of this presentation is the power of life force. We talked about the omnipresence of God. It's not just some cliche idea that, all right, God's everywhere. Use the force, Luke. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's everything. It's the vibrations, the audio sounds you're hearing from my mouth as it tickles the hairs in your ears that goes into your brain and processes this information to where you have an understanding. Ah, I get what he's telepathically saying to me, and he's just using these audio utterances to convey to me his heart, his thought. It's everything. You take God out of the equation, you couldn't hear anything. Take God out of the equation, I couldn't speak anything. We are it, there is nothing else. And when you begin to align yourself with this kind of life force, there's no more struggle, there is no more effort. Yes, Jaden, Christ consciousness. Christ, Jesus became the Christ. Jesus was a man who became the Christ. And he said, follow me, do what I do. In the future, you will do what I do, if not more. I am in my Father is in me. And then he says, I am in my Father's in me, and I am in you. So now you have God and Jesus who are within them, each other, and that is in me. That is in you. Jesus tapped into it. That's how we become real Christians. That's how we become real Buddhists. That's how we become real spiritual beings, followers of any denomination. We become it. We don't become policemen or firemen just by talking about it and reading the manual. You don't read the fireman's manual without getting in the fire truck and doing what firemen do. Reading a fireman's manual, a policeman's manual does not make you a fireman or a police officer. It doesn't work. Reading books about culinary from culinary chefs does not make you a chef. You have to become a chef. You have to be the chef. You have to be the fireman. You have to be the police officer. If you want to be one, the divine parent, we have to stop being divine children and grow up. Grow in. Up is in is forward. 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 We have to grow up. We have to grow outward. But from the inside, we have to grow outward. We have to use our awareness so we can understand everything that's happening in our field of experience. Though it's behind me, I am aware of the energy because I am so connected to my parent. My parent's saying, Keith, there's something behind you that might happen. I'm not trying to make you afraid. Just be aware so you have the intuition to step aside. Use the force, Luke. It is all around you. So if anyone wants to call in to ask a question, in the comment box say, yes, Keith, I would like to call in. I'll give that a couple seconds. So while you're busy doing that, if you choose to, I do this all the time and it has amazing results. As you are in the game of life and you see something around you, an experience of a powerful nature, something joyful that happened to someone or to some people, an event, someone won a large sum of money, someone just, whatever it may be, that you can tell that joy is moving in this experience for other people. Or even within yourself. But let's say for other people. You can use the force around you, Luke, and tap into the energy and the energy grid that's happening around you. Here's a group of people and something just happened and they explode and surprise everyone because it was an amazing thing. A football game on TV. Someone makes a spontaneous touchdown. That kind of explosion, right? Of people just jumping up and sharing their glee. When you hear that energy, lock into it. Bring it into your experience and use that glee and that energy, that freshly made, powerful, life force energy, and use it sort of like you would use a car to jump off your battery. Attach yourself to it, the joy and the power of it, and go into a space immediately and begin to use that which you want to experience in your life. A brand new car, a brand new job, a love relationship, more abundance. Those are cool things. But they only come from this place first. So instead of a new car, a new job, why not just use the energy that you're tapping into and be grateful that they've expressed it to you and bring it into your own fold, and now you use it to say, God, use it as a life force for your supplication, for your intention to bring about abundance instead of a new job or a relationship or a new car. Because job, relationship, and car all fall under the umbrella of abundance. Tap into the force, Luke. It's beautiful, isn't it? All right, y'all, I'm waiting on a phone call. Jane says, oh my God, I've been doing that with other singers lately. So cool, absorbing their charisma. Dig it. It becomes part of your life force. So if anybody wants to call in and ask a question, I thought I would bring this through. Might add a fun aspect to the presentation. And in the comment box, say, yes, Keith, I would like to call in, and then I will provide the number. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Tonight's presentation, as you know, is the power of life force. God, it's the breath you are taking. It's this breath you are taking. It's this breath you are taking. And it's this breath you're taking. It's me holding this glass. I'm using life, the force within me, to use my free will to pick up this glass, to take a sip of this beautiful life force water. Thank you, Dana. You're welcome, dear. She says, thank you for the beautiful broadcast. All right, y'all. Let me read some of the comments. So again, finally, if anyone wants to call in, say, yes, Keith, I will call. I'll provide you with the number. If you have a question, let me look at the comments since the beginning. Love from Australia, brothers and sisters. Mick, are you still here, Mick? If you are, say yes. Talked about gravity earlier, and Maya says, yes, gravity. Cheryl says, this is not resonating with me. It's confusing me. And that's okay, dear. I love you, and I am going to dedicate this presentation to you. But whether you get this presentation or not is really not important. I'm just dedicating it to you just for the blessings of the energy of my heart. Cheryl says, I never saw Star Wars, but my son-in-law has every movie I'm going to start watching. Maya says, I even know that. Wow. She says, my language is beautiful. Thank you, dear. Jane says, I'm late. What up, brother? You ain't late, darling. You're right on time. You were recording. What a great reason to be late. Maya says, love you, Keith Anthony Blanchard, LOL. P.S. You're doing such a good thing. Jonah Blanchard, what's up, brother? All right, y'all. So I gave 3 shout-outs about calling in, and nobody wants to call me in on my phone. That's all right. It's all good. And I love the idea. I love that everybody's full and content and don't need to call in because you don't have a question. Because you're clear. I am so happy that you're living your life in a state of clarity. This is what a state of clarity looks like. It's just like this lamp. No kidding. This lamp right here is a life force. It's a light force. And notice how this lamp is glowing. Dear Lord, there's an illumination there. it's obvious that there is an illumination being emitted and emoted from this lamp. Light. Look at this divine man. That lamp and this picture look identical to me. This man is a divine lamp. He's illumined. Like Jane says, like in Star Wars, Jonah says, "What's happening? Sorry I missed you the other day." "Hey, buddy, it's all good, man. I was hoping to see you, but..." Jane says, "May the force be with you." This whole presentation tonight, I was talking about use the force, Luke, and I kept doing it, and it sounded funny, but after I kept saying it, it made a very valid point. Use the force, Luke. God is omnipresent. It's all around you, Luke. And now Jaden comes in here and says, "May the force be with you." What do you think that means? Translated from Star Wars to spirituality, if Luke used the force, it's all around you, is synonymous with God being omnipresent, every place, all the time. Does anyone want to translate what "may the force be with you" would be from Star Wars to spirituality? Anyone? I'm going to wait just a moment because there's like a 20-second delay from what I am viewing and what you are viewing. May the force be with you. God is omnipresent. Use the force, Luke. It's all around you. God is omnipresent. So may the force be with you is synonymous with telling people, God bless you. May God be with you. John Berthelot, what's up, brother? Sue says, "May the Christ light be with you always." You're so with it. So may the force be with you is by basically telling someone, God bless you. You're saying, may the force be with you. God bless you. May God always be with you. Always, in all ways. And God always, in all ways is with us. We are not always and always conscious of the very fact that the life force within us is God itself. Right? So this presentation tonight, Dorothy says that's spiritual energy. It's all spiritual energy, right? And we just need to see it through spiritual eyes. And then even those things that we thought were not so spiritual become equally as beautiful and as spiritual as everything else. Because we're not living in judgment. That bad thing, that horrible thing that happened to these people becomes somehow strangely beautiful. How can horrible things be beautiful? Because we're inserting what we think has to happen into other people's lives so I can determine whether it's called a this or a that. What if an event happened in life to someone? I understand the idea of someone was in a horrible accident or this terrible thing happened to a person. Oh, I understand it. And my heart explodes with compassion. Is it possible that their time here on earth was complete? So complete, in fact, their entire spiritual evolution is complete. As to why they were plucked off of this planet And now they're living in the utmost, absolute spiritual bliss than they ever have since they left the Godhead billions of years ago. So what we call terrible may not be. We don't know anything about everyone's Christed path. Everyone is on a Christed path. Everyone is on a Buddhic path. Everyone is on a spiritual path. And the only thing that shortens the path from you to the spiritual grocery store, if we don't want to starve, is to go from point A to point B. You don't get to the spiritual grocery store where your sustenance lies by going in the opposite direction or turning down this street only to turn down this street. You take the distance, which is the shortest point, the shortest route between yourself and the spiritual store. And the shortcut is, it's right there. It's not in a book. It's not in what people tell you, including me. There is a greater truth that exists beyond what I am even telling you. It is so far beyond what we can even understand. Well, Keith, if it's beyond what can I understand, what I can understand, what's the point? You can't understand it. But you could be with it. Then you will really get it. Literally and metaphorically at the same time. You will really get it. Dorothy said, you got it. It just went through you a moment ago. Sue says, I think it's only terrible for those left behind. But is that real? Sue, both of those are true, dear. Listen, when I lost my mother, I didn't lose. First of all, let me rephrase that. I did not lose my mother. Through my mother leaving this world, I gained something. I gained an aspect of my connection to my mother in the spiritual realm. Because when my mother was here on earth, don't take this out of the context of which it's intended. My mother's physical presence was a distraction for me to feel her spiritually, so to speak, because her physical body was there. And the world of the outside is convincing. And it also distracts us from the truth. Most often. So the beauty in my mother passing away, or becoming invisible rather, it allowed me to truly connect to my mom. So if someone dies and leaves the others behind, is it truly sad for those who are left behind? Or is it a blessing for those who truly understand it? I understand the process of grief. I get it. We all have grief. Move through the old grief. If something comes along in your life that slams you, do what you have to do. But don't let the energy fester in you and cause you to shut your connection, because you are connected whether you shut off from it consciously or not. You are always connected to your loved ones. Always, always. They're right here. My loved ones are right here. We are a family unit. When you grow up with your family in the household, you all live in the same house. You are all in the same space. On the spiritual level, they're not like some gazillions light years away across the galaxy while you're on Earth. Because you can bet that while you are in this meat suit right now listening to this presentation I am giving you, the aspect of you that exists there when you die is there right now, and y'all all hanging around in the same circle. Because if you were not there, you cannot be here. You cannot disconnect yourself from the essence of who you are and expect to be in a human meat suit. You cannot do it. Hello, Jesse. So your loved ones are all around you. Around you. Your deceased grandparents are right there. They're right there. They're in your auric field. So y'all, I've been on for an hour and 10 minutes. If anyone has anything you want to bring through, question, comment, please do that now. And also, if you want to call me and ask a question to add a little different spin to this presentation, say, yes, Keith, I'd love to call you, and I will give you my phone number. Jane says, I lost my grandfather at 5. We were the closest. I wonder if that's why I've been spiritually in tune since then. Well, Jaden, let's play the game. Why did you bring that up? Why do you think this thought just popped into your consciousness after I told you that everyone who has been deceased in your life are standing right next to you? Is it possible he just went and whispered in your ear? Hey, granddaughter. Hey, Jaden, just want to let you know, one of the reasons of my passing was to help you at this period of your life so that you can be spiritually in tune and connected. Sounds like the truth to me. This thought came from within you. From the spiritual realm, from within you. It came from your soul. Your thought did not come from your head. Especially a beautiful, deep level thought like that. It came more from your soul, even though thoughts come from our consciousness. We're even beyond some, it's hard to explain, beyond consciousness. But it's about being conscious. And when we ask questions of that nature, these are not just idle questions like, some at random silly goofball question. But when you ask things from a space of heart, then it comes from a space of the heart, which is the doorway to the essence of who we are, to this doorway of soul. And I have no doubt your grandfather just whispered that sweet something into your spiritual ear, your heart, and you verbalize it in this forum. You connected to your grandfather. The very thought of you connecting to your grandfather connects you to your grandfather. If you were in a physical room with your family and you have a thought of your brother, let's say Jaden and I are brother and sister. We are. Jaden and I are brother and sister, and I have a thought of Jaden and I say, Jaden. Jaden responds and says, yes. Well, because we're spiritual beings first, having a human experience second, when you invoke a grandparent or deceased loved one's name, they say, yes. There is no other way. As above, so below. God is omnipresent, the power of life force. Use the force, Luke. God bless you. May the force be with you. Dorothy says, thank you, my friend. Always uplifted by your broadcast. I love you. And your presence when I do these broadcasts uplift me. Okay, finally. Let's see what we got. 4 minutes. I like stopping on the 0 or the 5. That's part of my OCD. So for those who want to bring forth any question or any comment, do so now. I'll be signing off shortly. But truly, if you have something you want to bring forth, please do that in this moment. So as you're writing, if you're considering doing that, God is not just all around you and in everything, though it is. Get out of the concept. Get out of the logic. Begin to experience it. Tomorrow when you see a child who says something to you, really see it. Experience it from the perspective, oh my God, God is speaking to me through the innocence of this child. Literally, imagine if Jesus himself was speaking to you. That Jesus, through this child, is literally speaking to you. Because the child, and what is speaking through the child, is not separate from Jesus, is not separate from Buddha, is not separate from Krishna, is not separate from Muhammad or Allah. And if you think that all these deities, different names, are separate from each other, You're not well informed about true spirituality. Many people have been taught erroneous ideas about God, and it creates separation in the world and between all people, and it's what causes wars. All scriptural books, most of them, have been tainted. Doesn't mean the book's intention is not genuine to help serve humanity. But God does say, "Seek and ye shall find." If it was as simple as black and white, heaven and earth would be established already. As a collective. But it's not. Hello, Dave. Sue says, I totally agree. Dorothy says, I do, but it's on the publisher. You advertise. I don't know what that means, Dorothy. Maybe you could send me a personal message or write another comment here. I'm not sure what that was relating to as to why you did that. Jane says, amen. When something beautiful happens today, tonight, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, and every interval in between, for the rest of your life, look out and about. Make everything you think God. Make everything you see God. Make everything you taste God. Make everything you feel God. Make every action you take God. I just named pretty much every aspect of the human energy. And when you make all that God, you become consciously connected to omnipresence. There is only one spiritual path, even though there's something like 4,000 religions. There's only one spiritual path that will ever get you there, no matter your denomination, your path, or your walk, or your doctrine. Here's the path. If God is love, which God is even beyond that, if God is love, then it's about everyone developing themselves within to the level of love that God is. There is no other spiritual path. The spiritual path for everyone, no matter what denomination you follow. If God is love, then the spiritual path is about everyone developing themselves within to the level of love that is God. And as we begin to unfold into that love, and it's not a ooey gooey feeling with a loving partner, can be, but it's even greater than that. It's non-judgment. I'm not going to judge this as an apple because I'm labeling it as an apple. I know this is being extreme, but it makes the point. Just see it as something beautiful. See it as grace being given to you by God. It is a manifestation of God's grace in the form of what we call an apple. When you walk into the woods, don't identify and name every critter you see. Don't say rabbit, don't say deer, don't say bird, don't say tree. Just see the forest, and it becomes illuminated like this light. There's no judgment. I'm not labeling you to be anything except taking you in and humbling myself to the beauty that it is. Jane says, I had imaginary friends as a child. God, you'd be crazy. I had imaginary friends as a child. I believe now they were angels. Yeah. Hi, Kayleen. Kayleen has a large part of my heart. I was going to say was. She is married to my invisible uncle, who was my godfather. Godfather. Soon as he passed, he came to me in a dream experience. Made himself known. Because we're not disconnected. So everyone, as always, before I go, thank you for being here. Tonight's presentation was all about the power of life force, God's omnipresence. Use the force, Luke. It's all around you. Take that from conceptualizing, from concept, to an experience. Everything that happens to you, you are being spoken to by Creator. God is talking to you through everything and everyone. Kayleen said, I know that. I said it often in some of my presentations, Kayleen. It just, by coincidence, you weren't there to hear it. And maybe now is time that you heard it. Maybe Michael is standing right outside of me and outside of you, because we're a family unit, and spoke that through me to tell you, and now you have this feeling inside that's moving. I have no doubt you're having a beautiful feeling inside of you moving right now to know that your husband, your invisible husband, came to his godchild who he loved dearly, and I loved him in return. To bring something through me to hand to you, Kayleen. It's everything, it's everywhere. It's omnipresent. It's in the voice, my voice that you're hearing. It's the taste in your mouth. It's the breath that you're taking now. It's the breath you're taking now. And it's the breath you're taking now. Everything that is scurrying around you, everything that is moving around you, people going about their day, they're all in the life stream. Kayleen says, yes, I do have that feeling moving within you. Within me, she says. Good night, Dorothy. You're welcome. Hello, Danny. So if you are just arriving, thank you. Again, in closing, this presentation was about the life stream, the power of life force, the power of God in your life. Every breath you take is God breathing life through you. And we'll begin to understand that and begin to experience that. You will become the Jedi. Use the Force, Luke. It's all around you. I love you, and may the Force be with you.